And all right through the field. This is going to go all the way down to the wire. It must do, but every class has been exciting tonight, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been incredible.
And of course, much of that is down to Lola cars. 8 cars they've got running here this year, and of course, supremely, those 2 Lola Aston Martins right up the front of the field, the 07, 08 cars, 6th and 7th at the moment. And Martin Bourain, who owns Lola cars down at Huntingdon. Martin, great to have you with us tonight, and congratulations, such a good showing. I think it equals your best ever numbers of cars here, doesn't it?
Yes, thank you very much. It is the best that I've ever had in the last 12 years. It's equals 79 with the previous management. And I'm delighted to see how competitive we are. The Lola Astons are doing really well. We've got a good team there with Howard Chappell and his people. We have great teams in the P2 as well, Speedy and RML, who have just got hit up the rear, I believe, by a Ferrari a little while ago, which is why they've dropped down.
Yeah, we had Rob Dyson watching with us just as that happened, with Chris on board, of course. But I mean, this has been one of the stories of this year, hasn't it? The Lola Coupes. You have just set such new high standards.
Well, I was pushing for that for quite a while through the LMS, where I am a shareholder and a director, and we talked about this for a long time. The open cars looked so similar and not really representing road cars, and of course I'm a sports car fiend, and I was pushing to get closed cars so we could move that around.
Now, I was speaking with Julian earlier, and he, just about the coupe, and last year I know a few of the drivers were saying that it was a great car, but it was maybe a little bit loose behind, a few little issues. This year they're saying it's absolutely nailed to the ground, fantastic car, really user friendly, and just absolutely planted. And I'm wondering what you can tell me that's happened to make that such a fantastic car now.
Well, I can tell you that the car was designed to have a V8 engine in it, and at the last minute that got switched to a V12, and of course there had to be compromises at the rear to allow that to fit in, shorter gearbox and quite a bit of change. So it has taken a little while for all of that to bed in. I wish we had a nice V8 to go in there, but no, the V12's doing really well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it certainly seems like you've got it dialed in now, and really everybody I've spoken to has just done nothing but rave about the car and what a quality car it is. I'm desperate to drive it myself, to be honest, being such a Lola fan that I am. So I think it's proving where it should be. It's right up there in the petrol class, right at the front.
Well, you had the right man sitting here then a moment ago. You had Rob Dyson.
It's going well.
There's a man who can do it for you.
Come on, Rob. Where's he gone?
He got out quickly as soon as he saw Martin. Maybe he owes him some money.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. We love the Dyson team, and they're great competitors. And Chris is a very good driver.
Yeah, and he's been praising your pit staff at Huntingdon, saying what a good job they've been doing. We've been saying hello to them tonight. So, have you got a message for them?
To the staff, you've done a fantastic job. Don't worry, kids. We'll have other news. We'll have other news later in the week.
Right. Well, we're going to ask you about that in a minute, but first we're just going down to Nigel Mansell. Another blast from the past.
Nigel, how does it feel to have his son racing in this famous race?
Very historic. It's the first time I've come to the Le Mans 24 Hours, and I can assure you it won't be the last. It's fascinating. It's just incredible. It's an awesome race, and for fans around the world, it's got everything for everybody. And the incredible thing is the changing conditions and how long the race is. Now the setting sun, the next driver stint's going to be very, very difficult. And to see the differences in lap times and the strategy, it's very interesting.
How is Leo doing?
Very, very good. We've done 2 double stints already. And now the first driver, Pierre's going back in the car now. And then Leo will be doing the midnight shift, so in the complete darkness. So that will be very good.
Can we imagine one day a car with all Mansell family, you and your 2 sons?
It definitely has a possibility now, because I've really enjoyed watching, but I'm still prefer to participate. So who knows what might happen next year?
Maybe we will have a battle Prost Mansell again.
I know, it's incredible, and Senna next door as well is incredible. But for me, it's just how professional the race is, and from when I used to watch it on television to being here now, all the manufacturers, everything stepped up. I mean, the LMP1 cars are like past Formula 1 cars. They're incredible machines. So yeah, it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a long night, but a very exciting one. And anyone who finished the race, I think, has achieved something very great.
Thank you very much, Nigel.
Thank you.
So there's another Formula 1 driver who's seen the light and now realises that Le Mans is where it's really at. Martin, you're going to do it the other way around. You've put an entry in for the Formula 1 World Championship, Lola cars. Still trying to get it sorted out, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Can I say something about Nigel? He went in a Lola at Estoril, I think it was, and he absolutely flew. He went about 2 seconds faster than anyone had ever gone on either that car or one like it in the space of, like, I don't know, 30, 40 laps.
Wow.
But, yeah, and I think he would like to get in with his sons. I spoke to him earlier. Formula One, yeah, the attraction of the cost cap and the fact that they've waived the 40 million that we used to that they used to talk about us putting in meant that we assessed, and we could probably assess the opportunity, shall we say. We can get within that cost cap. We can do a good car for that. In fact, damn it all, we've done a car. We've been working on it for the last 7 weeks, and it's really come together. We've got the wind tunnel model in the tunnel all this week. It was finished last Friday week actually. We were a little disappointed that our name wasn't on that list when it came out, but we've had a letter saying, well, hang around boys, it's not over yet, and so on. I'm not going to make any comment other than that. We are considering the thing. We're reviewing the situation, as you say. I won't say it to music, but we're reviewing the situation. And on Tuesday, we will have a proper talk with my board, even though I'm doing this personally.
Your diplomacy is very, very creditable, but you know we're all surprised, obviously, that you and ProDrive and Superfund with Alex Wirtz weren't actually included in that list at the moment. But as you say, maybe that's to come. But just about Lola in Formula One, I mean, in the early days, Lola was a top name in Formula One. Then Eric Broadley had this rather ill-fated foray into it, but that was probably not the right time, was it?
Wrong time. Yeah. Lola actually has a pretty good record in making customer cars. The very first time they actually outperformed Ferrari and Porsche, finishing fourth in the championship and getting pole position and winning podiums. Then the next time round, they, as you know, they were the Honda engine put in the back of an Indy car, and it went off, and after less than 4 weeks of work on it, went off and won at Monza. So, and then there have been several other, there were 7 altogether. The one with Eric the last time, well, he had no facilities. In fact, the moment I came in, I started putting all of these facilities in. And we have everything. We've had everything for more than 10 years that you would need to do a Formula One program.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been down to Lola. You've shown me around down there, and I mean, it's a fantastic operation you've got. But like you, I'm a sports car lover, and I think why someone who loves sports cars so much want to go single-seater, go into Formula One and single-seater racing again? I know you're still building single-seaters, but yes, but
we're still building sports cars, and we'll continue to do so because we have spent a lot of time and money actually developing our IPR, and this coupe was 15 months of R&D before we ever got it on the floor. So that's a lot of time and a lot of money.
But it's become the car to have. That's the great thing.
Definitely come in the right direction, though, for you.
Well, we seek perfection. If it's not easy to get that, but engineering excellence is what we try to do. Eric in one way and me in a different way.
Good. Well, Martin, thank you very much for taking the time to come up and see us, and all the best with the Formula One program, and let's hope things find their level.
Pleasure to see you both.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Martin. So, we just saw some excitement there while Martin was talking. Did you see this Peugeot come into the pits, dive between two GT2 cars, and nearly wiped out Rusinov in the Ferrari he's sharing with Leo Mansell? Oh dear, it's getting a bit tricky.
Oh, it's all getting a bit exciting, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of it's down to the time of day we've got as well. Visibility is getting worse. It's getting a lot harder to see on a lot of the straights. It's getting difficult.
Right.
We're about to be joined here by Jörg Bergmeister.
Another lizard, yeah.
Yeah, another lizard.
So Liz, you and Timo are old friends. Why don't you have a chat about things?
Yeah, I mean, you've just been awesome in the Porsche. I mean, very impressive in qualifying. Obviously, a great start to the race. Just tell us how it's been going, really. Fill us in.
I mean, so far I can't complain too much. The car is handling really well compared to qualifying and in the warm-up already we were a little bit down on top speed, but it's not awfully bad. We're missing like 3-4 Ks, so it's not too bad. And we can do double stints on the tires, so I'm really pleased with the car.
Good. Are you gonna continue double stints through the night on the tires, or are you gonna try and triple like a lot of teams are going up one more stint really through the night?
I think we're gonna stay with double stints. The pit stops of the lizards are so fast, so we won't lose too much. The quickest stop they have done so far in practice was 18 seconds on the tire change, so that's really impressive.
That's really fast.
I think we're gonna stay on the double stints.
Yeah, it's probably safer anyway, isn't it? Just saves you that little extra window of mistake with the tires. You never know, do you?
Yeah, definitely. And you can push a little harder, which is also more fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically the way you always drive, I think, isn't it? Always push a bit harder when you can, and it certainly pays off.
I hope it does.
So, when are you next going to be in the car? And you'll be going into a double stint, obviously, into the night.
Yeah, Darren just got in. Before that was Seth, and then Darren is doing a double. Then it's me a double, Darren a double, and so we go through the night.
Okay, and tell us about the American Le Mans series. It's been a little bit different this year, hasn't it? How's that been going out there, and how does it compare to be back here again?
ALMS, I think we're having a great run there.
Well, of course, yeah, you're having a great run.
So it's really good, working out really well for us. We won the last 3 races, and it's great being together with Patrick Long again. It's a great teammate, and we are both friends. So it's always great if you have if your teammate is your friend as well. I think that works out pretty well. Of
course, and it's been such a successful partnership for many years for you two, hasn't it? So it must be fantastic to be back again.
Yeah, about tonight though, Timo, you've had obviously Seth was fairly slow. Then we think he got a puncture, did he? Or?
I'm not sure. I just walked over here when he was running really slow. His pace before was pretty good, so I assume it was a puncture. Yeah.
And Darren's on board the car now, so. Darren's obviously a man you've raced against in Grandam, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. We had some good fights as well, and obviously we're teammates at Flying Lizards.
Yeah.
No, it's his first time here at Le Mans, but he's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously wants to win this, so he can say, I won the Rolex and won Le Mans in the same year.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you wouldn't be opposed to that, would you?
So it's all going well then, and we just so enjoyed the battle we had in the first 2 hours of the race. Just the chain of cars, the Ferrari, the Porsches, and swapping around all the time. Must be great being in that situation.
Yeah, at the start, some of the guys were a little crazy. They were driving like there was no tomorrow. Melo and Mark Lieb were touching on the straight, so I was pretty impressed, and I took a little bit more conservative there, and worked out pretty good.
Well, I was saying when we were watching the start, I was saying with Jamie Miller, certainly he's only got sort of one speed, and that is absolutely flat out. Would you agree with that? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
The start of the Le Mans 24 hours, and you said they're touching each other as if it was, a 20-minute qualifying session.
Yep. So, I think that's the way Jamie is.
Yeah, well, none of us have forgotten the end of the Sebring 12 hours. Liz wasn't going to mention that.
No, I was keeping that one quiet.
But you're world famous because of that.
I still would have had the result the other way around.
You ditch the fame and take the result.
Yeah.
So we're going to back down to the pits.
No, we are actually going to commercial break.
We're going to a commercial break, right?
Yes,
I was getting ready for an interview, and we've got an interview here in the.
Yes, and we're on board now with the Corvette C6R. Antonio Garcia at the wheel, but we're going to be back with you very soon.
Jorg, if you can hang on a moment, we'll get a little bit more in a moment.
Stay with us.
You're back on Eurosport Live, and just looking after now, where are we? We are 5 hours 41 minutes into the race, and at the moment our race leader still Peugeot from Audi, and this one's going to go right through the night. Sebastian Bour, the man from Le Mans, still out front from Alex Wurz, the man from Austria, Dino Capello for Audi, Lucas Luhr for Audi, Anthony Davidson for Lola Aston Martin, and Benoit Trollier for Pescarolo Peugeot. And there into the pits at the moment is the Aston Martin of Charouz, Jan Charouz, just coming in.
Now it looked like there was possibly some smoke coming out of that car, but I think what it was a lockup on the way into hitting his pit limiter. So
just wondered if he's got a puncture at the back. Yeah, because his front wheel was off the ground there.
Oh, maybe that's what the smoke was.
Yeah, that was what it was. Yeah, so we got Jorg Bergmeister versus Jorg, who's been in the middle of this frantic battle in GT2 today. We're just looking where your car is at the moment, Jorg. Where are we? There's Darren Law. Seventh, is it? Yeah, in 40th place overall. Your best lap today, I guess it was you, 4:06.
Yes.
Great race pace. Great pace.
Yeah.
Race pace. Yeah. So
it's not too bad. As I said, the car is working really well. We can double stint the tires, and I'm pace-wise, I think we are right there.
I think people might wonder if Peugeot and Audi with the diesel cars can get 4 stints out of their tires. Why do you only do 2 stints?
Because our car is a little heavier, and we don't have all that downforce that those cars make, so we're working the tires obviously a bit harder.
Because you're sliding a little more, and I see. This is what people always ask us about, what's happening. What are any problems about going into dark?
For me personally, no. I like driving in the dark, so I'm looking forward to it.
And people ask us on the website, are you fast? Are you faster in the dark as a driver, or?
It depends a little bit on the track, but normally I do about the same lap times in the daytime than in the dark. There's an advantage in the dark. Obviously, the air temperature is a little cooler, and you get a little bit more horsepower, so it takes away the disadvantages of not seeing that well.
And now you have to have air conditioning in these closed cars. 32 degrees, I think, has to be. That's still pretty hot, isn't it, inside?
Yeah, you're definitely still sweating, that's for sure.
It's still hot, isn't it? I mean, in the 30s, it's still warm when you're working as hard as you have to work in a Porsche.
I mean, you still have the helmet on and the suit, the fireproofed underwear, everything. So it's still really warm.
Yeah.
Well, Jorg, thank you very much for coming up and seeing us. We've got a hope.
Best of luck for the rest of the race.
And
thank you so much.
I'm sure it's going to work out well. We're rooting for you and Darren and Seth. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cool.
Bye.
So the order at the moment, we just said Sebastian Bour leading the great race overall, but problems for a lot of other people, and amongst those problems has been the all-time disaster for Pedro Lamy and the rest of the crew. So, there we go. 5 hours 44 minutes, 93 laps completed by Sebastian Bour. Liz?
Well, we've recently just seen a pit stop putting Patrick Dempsey back into that car, the advanced engineering car. He's going out for a double stint, his first double stint ever around the Le Mans 24 hours. We saw him speaking earlier saying what a fantastic time he's had, and he said he was so glad to have gotten that first stint out of the way. And I think a lot of these rookie drivers will be feeling the same way. So much pressure and a lot of stress, just the whole feeling you get starting at Le Mans. You think, my God, it's my first stint at Le Mans, and it's so overwhelming that you are quite happy to get that out of the way, and then you can settle down and just enjoy the racing. And this is a really brilliant time for him to get in the car. It's an amazing time to be out on the track in tonight, but it's also a very challenging time for a new driver. You know, you've got the light changing. It's very, very difficult because you can't really have any sort of shading with you because you're going in tonight. The glare is an issue, especially into the Porsche curves and places like that. You know, the bug count gets a lot higher. It's difficult to keep the windscreen clean. People don't think about that, so that's going to be a challenge.
So this car continues to be a favourite with the crowds, doesn't it? The Spiker C8 La Violette, Tom Coronel, Jarek Yanis and Jeroen Blekemolen on board that car. And of course that car, people forget, is the 6th Audi V8 engine in it. So,
you're right, it is. People do forget, including myself. I'd forgotten
but
that.
always hugely popular. Here's a replay of always a big problem there. Well, it's the tire coming off the rim completely, isn't it? On the which is that the Charouz, Lola?
I'm not sure. Yes, I think it was actually.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe it was.
So that's not good news for them.
Had a lot of punctures, which, as you said earlier, perhaps that's you know, coming back on us from all that carbon that was spread across the circuit a while back. Could definitely be repercussions from that.
Yeah, well, we're now joined by another of the manufacturers' representatives. We've had Martin Brain from Lola, and we've now got John Manchester from Ginetta-Zytek, as the team's now called. And John, hi. We do this every year with you, don't we? Have our go at Le Mans. We've been so impressed with the pace, particularly of the Straka car, which was at one time threatening to take the petrol pole on Thursday night. Danny Watts went out, I know, again, tried to do it, but just got bought by traffic. But what a fine showing.
Yeah, I was very pleased. Obviously, it's a new car essentially for this year. Very pleased with the performance. I think one encouraging thing was we wasn't using qualifying tyres, so obviously you probably get another 2-3 seconds out of the car with qualifying tyres. So on that alone, we're very pleased with the overall performance of the car, and we'll obviously continue to still develop the car to improve it further.
Yeah, now just to remind everyone exactly what's happened, Ginetta and Zytek are obviously now partners, aren't they?
Yeah, Lawrence Tomlinson, who's the owner of Ginetta Cars, he bought a 40% stake in Zytek Engineering, and we decided from a marketing point of view to rebrand the Zytek name with Ginetta, and it's just really a marketing exercise.
Yeah, let's just sorry, just to interrupt for a moment. This is the lead car. Sebastian Bour brought the number 8 Peugeot into the garage. Now, is this going to be a major problem? I mean, we've been talking tonight about you know, Peugeot have got the pace, but have they got the reliability? And again, and John, it takes, we're told by previous winners, it takes 3 years with a program to win this race, and
yeah, I think
this is the 3rd year.
Indeed, I think Le Mans is probably one of the biggest engineering challenges we face. You know, to get a car and engine to complete 24 hours at Le Mans, it's a big challenge.
Now, apparently, I'm hearing this is only 3 laps into his stint, only 3 laps since his last stop.
Ooh.
So this is not going to be good for Peugeot. In saying that, they don't look particularly panicked. They do seem to know. It looks as if they know what the problem is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean.
But at the same time, the car is in the garage. This is a really hot race right now. They will not be able to afford to have this happen.
No, this is going to fall into Audi's hands again if they're not careful. Alex Wirtz is going to have to pick up the baton, isn't he? Depending how long they're in there. There is Seabass sitting in the car, distinctive helmet, the multiple car champion. This is not what he wanted. He's from Le Mans. It's his home track. He's racing in front of his home crowd. He does not want to be sitting in the garage.
No, absolutely not. So this is a huge blow for Peugeot. We're just going to have to wait and see when they get back on the track and how much time they will have lost.
Well, we'll monitor that. But John, sorry, back to you with Zytek and Ginetta. So Bill Gibson still is obviously hands-on, but he and Lawrence Tomlinson are effectively partners now.
Yeah, Zytek split into 2 companies. There's Zytek Automotive, which are responsible for the design, development of manufacture of the electronics for automotive and also for motorsport, and also electric vehicle technology. We're probably one of the world leaders in electric vehicle technology. And then Zytek Engineering are basically just a motorsport based company producing LMP cars, racing engines, and also a lot of the manufacturing support for the rest of the Zytek group.
Yeah, I mean, your engines themselves have been hugely successful, haven't they, throughout the sport?
Yeah, we've obviously
yeah, sorry, we're just going to Olivier Canal, director of Peugeot Sport. Sorry about this, John.
A priori, il y a un problème de motricité.
What's happened? We asked him, and
tout à l'heure a mis une roue arrière sur un vibreur, et ce qu'il a touché la transmission, je ne sais pas vous dire pour l'instant.
Vous savez pas pour l'instant combien de temps ça peut durer?
Well, earlier in the race, Sebastian put a wheel off the track, and
ça va pas durer parce que sinon
it's on
ça
the curb.
là.
Sébastien semblait vraiment attaquer très fort durant les
I hope it's not going to take
tours.
long to fix this. We're going to be this one to bother otherwise.
La voiture, non, on était sur un mode normal. Mais
apart from that, everything's been going really well. I don't really yet know why he's had to come back into stands. All we know is that he did put a wheel off, and
it did look as if they almost had some of the suspension off the car just then. It was quite hard to tell from the scenes, but certainly there must be something that Sebastian is feeling, must be a vibration, or something he feels is a problem enough to bring it in.
Yep.
So this may fall into the hands of Audi, as you've said, and this is exactly what Audi would be hoping would happen right now.
Yeah, but then again, Audi have got their own problems. Are they going to be running through the night with these radiators, John Manchester? They're getting stuffed up. Part of the problem.
Yeah,
they're hoovering stuff off the track.
Yeah, not part of the game plan, I wouldn't think at the moment. Peugeot, certainly not. Probably playing into Audi's hands for sure.
So going back to Zytek for a moment while watching it, you were just saying about how successful your engines has been as well as the chassis, but you are becoming the must-have customer chassis in LMP1 now, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to think so. It's certainly the aim. Yeah, we've obviously, I think one of the advantages with Zytek is we produce everything. We do the chassis, the electronics, the engine in-house. And I think that integrates well as a package. You don't have to make too many compromises. So the whole package is optimised really well, and I think that shows in the performance of the car.
Yeah. But what effective is your factory car, the orange Lawrence Thompson car? That's the one that's had the bad luck so far this year.
Yeah, factory car's probably not quite the right term to use, but Lawrence has actually bought that car. He's bought it basically to race at Le Mans. It's more of a demonstrator, so we can demonstrate it, let people try the car. The idea is people can go out and try that car, drive it, which is what we did with the ASM people and the Straka people prior to them buying the cars, and I think it works really well. Not many other people can offer that, so that's really what that car's purpose is.
Now the obvious question, Liz, John, is are you going to go the coupe route?
No plans to at the moment. We did look at that seriously last year. We looked at a lot of different areas of the car in CFD, and we felt that it wasn't really worth the expense to go coupe as opposed to the open top route. So no plans at the moment, certainly not.
Now I have to say, I have heard in speaking to people that know Lawrence and various people who've driven the car, all of them have said what an incredibly user-friendly car it is. And it's one of the nicest prototypes that people have driven, especially for new drivers who don't have prototype experience. They've said it's a car that as you get closer to the edge, it's actually more, like, say, user-friendly. You can actually handle the car at the edge, whereas a lot of prototypes, they're really loose and really, you feel like you're on the limit. And certainly the ones I've driven, you're really hanging off the edge when you start to push it more. But I've heard that this particular car is one that they feel confident they can push a bit harder, and which I think is great for drivers coming up into an LMP1 car. It's a big jump forward for people like Nigel Moore and other drivers who haven't experienced that much power and carbon brakes and the downforce. And I think that's a big asset for you. Would you agree that's a big asset that you've managed to make such an incredibly user-friendly car?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Anyone that has always driven that car the first time are absolutely amazed at the sheer ease of the car to drive. Talking to Richard Dean, he's not done a lot of driving in that car, and he's probably Thursday going into qualifying. He'd probably only done his 7th competitive lap, and he just said, I kept pushing the car, and it's like, well, is this all you've got to give me? Give me a bit more. And he said it's just amazing to drive. It's so forgiving, and I think that's one of the advantages of the car. Yes, it's a very, very easy car to drive.
Yeah. Oh well, certainly I'm jealous. That sounds fantastic. Oh yeah. Won't catch me saying no to that.
Well, John Manchester, thank you very much for coming up, just telling us all about Zytek, and we wish you all the best. And just seeing where your best car is at the moment. That's where are we? Just looking down the list.
I think it was Danny Watts. He's come into the garage. I don't know what's gone on there. He's been in there for a while, so I'm not quite sure what's happening.
Okay, hasn't come back out yet. Anyway, many thanks, John, and
it's a pleasure.
We shall perhaps see you tomorrow morning sometime.
Indeed.
Thanks
very
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
That's that.
Thank you.
So just to update you what's going on at the moment, as we get the right timing screen, it's Alex Wirtz leading now for Peugeot, but the Peugeot of Sebastian Bour still in the garage, slipping down the order. Capello and Blur, and the Audis move into 2nd and 3rd. Anthony Davidson's about to move up into 4th place. He's only just a couple of seconds behind, and Benio Trulli. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got someone here from the Oreca Courage team, Nicolas Lapierre, and we'll have a quick. So after the break, come back with us. Still stay on Eurosport 2. Mark Cole, Liz Halliday, and Nicolas Lapierre. Welcome back to Eurosport. We're just going to have a quick look at Sebastian Bour. He's been in the pits. We don't know what the problem is yet. Even Olivier Canel of Peugeot Sport didn't know what the problem was. Here is Sebastian. Well, Justin is down there with Stéphane Sarrazin. Can you tell us any more yet, Stéphane? Well, it's either a pivot, a wheel bearing, or a wheel that came loose. It's a shame, it's cost us some time. Still 18 hours of the race still to go, so we can catch up. We're going to try and attack a little bit more, make up some time. Thank you. I think they've been doing plenty of attacking already. But talking of attacking, Sebastian Bour, the man from Le Mans, he's just rejoined. But we've got a man from another famous circuit, from Manicourt here. Your father, Nicolas Lapierre, was, I think, race director of the school.
Of the racing school, yeah. That's it.
So you were born into racing?
Definitely.
And you're racing with Hugh de Schonak's outfit this year. Your car at the moment, in fact, we're just looking on the screens, you're the best of the open petrol cars.
Yeah,
that's the best thing to say.
That's a very small category, isn't it? No, I mean, the car is getting good. It's getting really better as the track is quicker now. We got some rubber down, which was not the case at the beginning of the race. So now we are very pleased. We want to make a no mistake race. That's our point. Take no risk at all in the traffic on the track. And I think we can expect coming back in the top 8 or top 6. That would be wonderful for our car.
This is your second participation at Le Mans. Great teammate you've got, of course, Olivier Panis and Soye Ayari.
Yes, I mean, Olivier came back in the sport car last year, and he's really enjoying it. We are doing the 1,000 kilometers race together as well. So now we have a really good team. I think the driver's level is quite close, so I hope we can achieve something good on this race.
Liz?
Sorry, I was sitting there playing with my mic level there. No, I mean, I think it's fantastic to see these cars running so well and so quickly. And I mean, it's still a relatively new car. It's only been sort of 2 years. I mean, how do you feel about it in sort of the combination of courage with this car?
I mean, the combination is good. As you say, he's still young. I mean, on this kind of race, you need a lot of experience. But I mean, Hugues de Schonak knows how to run the project. He's a very clever man and got a lot of experience in motorsport. So we are putting things together. At the moment, it's quite difficult to fight for us because of the equivalency. But I mean, we are getting closer compared to last year. So let's hope it goes even better next year.
Well, we wish you lots of luck. We're being told that you're being rushed off to somewhere else. So thank you very much for joining us, even though it was only for a brief period of time. And we wish you all the luck for the rest of the race.
Have a good race. Thank you.
Nicolas.
Bye.
So Jeremy Shaw's come back upstairs, and Jeremy's going to take over for the next couple of hours and help us out. So, Liz, interesting days. Here we are, still on board with. That's not Capella. It's a number 1 car. No, that's the wrong one.
I think it's been a very active race so far. There's been a lot going on. We're actually barely even into this race. That's the thing. It seems like we've been going for hours and hours, but in fact we're barely even scratching the surface of a 24-hour race. Yeah, and there's been so much action so far already, hasn't there, Mark?
Yeah, this is Alex Wirtz, of course. We ought to know that helmet by now from all his Formula 1 days. So Alex, 41 seconds over Dindo Capello's Audi, and Lucas Luhr about to come across the start-finish line. We'll just see what the gap is back to that. And look at this already, just telling slower cars you're there. If anyone's been asking about the lights, white lights for prototypes, yellow lights for GT cars, that's in the dark when they're coming up behind you, you know exactly what's going on. So Liz, that comes to the end of yours and my shift, and Martin is champing at the bit, Jeremy's champing at the bit. They want to get into the action, and they've been here listening to all our guests, seeing what's going on, and I think we're going to have a long, hard night ahead of us.
I think so too. I'm looking forward to it, actually. Right, we'll see you all later.
So Martin.
She says as she leaves. Yes.
Martin, what have you seen on your travels in the last couple of hours?
Dinner and an ice cream, actually.
Excellent.
But obviously an awful lot of drama. How this race is turning around already. 18 hours remaining, which means we're only 6 in. We're a quarter distance. We've seen drama in just about every category from every car. Alex Wirtz leads for Peugeot, Dindo Capello and Lucas Luhr second and third for Audi. And actually one of the interesting periods in running out into the fresh air was to catch up with Alain Magnish, the driver, of course, with Dindo Capello and Tom Christensen of the number 1 Audi that's now in second place. And after all our speculation of the first couple of hours of the race, Jeremy caught up with a driver who actually knows what's going on and got him to explain exactly what was happening with the cars. And yes, basically, as we surmised, this is kind of like the beginning of a NASCAR 500-mile race for Audi. They are chasing the setup. And Alan explained it like this. He said, basically, we've had 4 hours of dry running. That was in qualifying on Thursday. He said, the track is now in the sort of condition it would be after lunch on the Saturday of a Le Mans test weekend. It's just started to get rubbered in at the beginning of the race. Now, of course, we're 6 hours in, so it's like we're starting Sunday of the Le Mans test weekend. And the track is very slippery, very dirty, very low grip, and they're fighting chronic understeer in the car and then changing the nose and the setup of the car, trying to chase that grip. And I said to him in the end, how quick should you be going? He said, really, we expect to be going within a second of the Peugeot's outright pace. We should be in the 26s, maybe just shaving into the 27s, lap after lap after lap. But he said, even by matching their pace, we can't beat them on that alone, which is patently clear because they're behind.
Yeah, you know, they nail on the head. I mean, they should be doing 26, 27s regular basis. In fact, they've snuck in a couple of 27s. Most of the time, they're in the 30s and the 31s. So, you know, they're just not able to match the front-running pace. And yes, it is a kind of a brand new car. I mean, it debuted at Sebring in March. How long ago was that? 3 months ago. What have they been doing for the last 3 months?
Testing it relentlessly,
Absolutely.
but on a track where they know the grip levels, presumably.
Quite, and there's no other cars out on the track there to cause them any problems. And what they didn't do was the first 2 Le Mans Series races of this year, did they? So, you know, they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. They would have learned a lot more by doing those 1,000-kilometre races.
They would have learned a lot more about the car, but it still wouldn't have made the track any less green. So
no, but they would have learned how, you know, the balance is affected when more rubber gets laid down under different racing conditions. And, you know, bottom line is they're really not properly prepared, which is very, very surprising for that man. I mean, Wolfgang Ulrich is, you know, about as Germanic as you could possibly get, and structured and organised and everything, and yet patently, you know, they're not ready for this race, which is very surprising to me.
Absolutely, it's the 10th anniversary of their first appearance here, and you're right, it is a very un-Audi state of preparedness. It's not that they're totally unprepared, it's just that they're not 100% on the ball.
Having said that, they are second and third at the moment, and back on the lead lap.
Yes.
So now anything can happen. It's now the number 9 Peugeot, Alex Wurz, is leading. Dindo Capello is about 43 seconds back in second place, and Lucas Liu, also now with that problem for Sebastian Bour, is also back on the lead lap, just a minute or so behind the race leader.
And our 4th placed car, let's get this right, our 4th placed car overall, 008, Anthony Davidson, is on pit road, the Lola Aston Martin. Now, if this was the last hour of the race and the number 9 Peugeot had a 43-second lead over Dindo Capello, I'd be thinking, do you know what? That's possibly still in the balance. We've got 18 hours to go, and Peugeot have got 1 car between Audi leading this race and Audi being first and second in this race, in fact. And that's not really very much of a... Don't forget, the 17 Pescarolo car got taken out by the 7 car, which got taken out by the 17 car. Whoops, 2 of the 4 balls dropped in one foolish collision. Now, that obviously shook them up, and we did see, for the first time that I can remember, some very, very sharp pit stopping by Peugeot in that second safety car period. The 7 car was first onto pit road, and whatever the French is for "Oi, you, get out of the way" was instantly communicated. He pulled right out of the way and allowed 8 and 9 to come in, do their pit stop to get gone. That is properly Audi stroke Porsche pit work. That is absolutely on the money. Without any question, they knew what was coming up before it came up, and that's the only way to win Le Mans. But they now have had that problem with the number 8 car. I'm afraid I've had my headset off, so I didn't know what it was, but...
I gather he ran off the road. didn't have my headset on, but he ran off the road, and there was clearly a problem. I believe they changed the left rear corner on that car, and it's cost them surprisingly little. I mean, Bourdais is actually now back within 2 laps, so it's just over 1 lap down and in 6th place.
3 official retirements now. The 77 Porsche ran out of fuel. The 68 J-Lock Lamborghini ran out of luck. Well, it ran out of drive shafts and didn't qualify, ran out of engine and didn't really effectively start the race. And the Kiefel ASM Ginetta-Zytek ran out of spare parts, presumably as Miguel Amaral kept bidding it lap after lap.
Yeah, there was a brake problem. There was apparently a brake problem on that car, and he finally caused some damage to the tub of the car. The monocoque was damaged, so that was the end of their race.
I did say when we first saw him go off, and especially when we saw him go off a second time, that's really not like him. He's a very good gentleman driver, and I was most surprised. I would have been frankly quite flabbergasted if there was not a properly sensible explanation for it. And actually, while we're having a look at this, how cheeky is that? Would you get that out of my way? I thought for a moment actually he was flashing a Peugeot. He's not. He's flashing a Speedy Subaru Lola Coupe. Is that number 10 or 11 Orica car? It looks like it might well be Sohail Ayari flashing that blue Speedy Subaru car as they weave their way through the Porsche curves. And Jeremy, you know, so much drama. Looking at it's hours till it gets dark even, and that's when all the witches come out.
Yeah, isn't that a fact? Just a little note here. We saw a note up on the screen there from the stewards. Car number 84, which is the Team Modena Ferrari F430, has just been warned for improper use of the circuit or something, or disrespect. Not
respecting the circuit limits, which means he'll have been going inside the white lines, probably at the chicanes on the Mulsanne. There aren't too many other places you can really pinch an inch. Well, you can pinch an inch, but more than that, you can't really go over the white line in too many places without it costing a lot of money and hurting quite a bit. So it's normally cutting the inside of the chicane of the Mulsanne, and that is not deliberate. That's a bit of an oops, oh my goodness, trying to almost straight line it. So let's run through where we are then after 6 hours and 10 minutes. Alex Wurz leads for Peugeot. Audi are not far behind. Top 3 cars on the lead lap, and that's a big step forward for Audi and a big retrograde step for Peugeot. Dindo Capello's Audi number 1 is 46 seconds back. Lucas Luhr a minute and 16 seconds back in third.
Yeah, doesn't it just show that how quickly things can change in this motor race? I mean, Peugeot was dominating Audi, weren't they? We were kind of writing them off almost. Shame on us, of course. You never write off Audi, and now with that problem, but 2 cars, not 1 but 2 cars back on the lead lap.
So now maybe if I go and talk to McNish again in a few minutes, by the time I've finished, the other Peugeot will have gone and he'll be back in the lead. Like he said, they can't beat them just by doing the same speed. You know, when you're behind, you can't beat them by being just as quick as them. Everything can and will change. This race is like a junkyard dog. Turn your back on it, it bites you in the arse.
Yeah, so 4th place, 1 lap down, is the Pescarolo Peugeot, car number 17, Bueno Trullier at the wheel at the moment. In 5th place, also 1 lap down, Anthony Davidson in the Lola Aston Martin 008, and Sebastian Bour in number 8.
So that is the top half dozen. Peugeot prepare for another pit stop. We'll be back live with more action from Le Mans here on Eurosport 2 in a second. Welcome back live to Le Mans. Benoit Trullier receives service at the Pescarolo Peugeot team. This car is 4th overall. Gas and go. Clean off a few bugs. Martin Haven, Simon Hill, and the man with the clipboard, Jeremy Shaw. How many laps on that? Properly up to 13, or still struggling to make 12?
12 that time around. The last 3 stops have all been 12 laps. It was 13 the stop before that. So, I think they're just running to their own pace. I think they got their game plan. They're trying to follow it. Nice stint there from Bernard Trullier. Nothing special. You don't have to do anything special, particularly when you got that car up into 4th place.
Well, he does actually, because he's got little Ant behind him in the 008 Aston Martin, and Ant stopped a lap before Benoit Trullier in that Lola Aston Martin, and so there is a good battle going on there for 4th place. Davison at the moment is already top petrol engine car and is now looking to slay another giant. Lots of fans were asking early on how the Lola Aston Martins are going to fare, what we think they might do. Lots of people seem to have seized on this magic. Do you think there's a chance of a top 5? Well, a few laps ago we had both of them nudging up into the top 5, and at the moment we have one with 18 hours to go still in the top 5. Lord Paul Drayson's car still running in the GT2 category as well, but outside the top 8 in that class. But again, really, they are looking to finish the race, and Lord Paul Drayson in his Paul Lord Drayson rather in his first weekend as the new Defence Minister, supporting Armed Forces Day in the UK, which is June the 21st, I believe, next weekend. So he's now the new Minister of Defence. Alex Wurz in for service. And of course, that is our current race leader. In is the delayed number 7, which is now 16th. Pedro Lamy was released early from the pit lane in the first hour and got collected by the incoming number 17 Pescarolo team Peugeot, and at the time Henri Pescarolo was not particularly as number 1 comes down pit road. Oh, busy Simon, it's one of those after nothing happens for 25 minutes moments, suddenly everybody's on pit road.
And again, we've seen this last year, exactly what's happening. Every pit stop, every single driver change, every single tyre fuel situation seemed to throw something else up. Plus, we've had the chaos that was Peugeot at the beginning, as you just mentioned there, and now we've had this situation with the problem for the 8 car. And the interesting thing is that I was talking to some of the guys from Audi. I was talking to Oliver Jarvis, who races for Audi and DTM, who has been talking to some of the engineers who he obviously works with a lot on the DTM program, and he said that really we haven't got an answer for Peugeot on pace. However, we know that we can run the pace we're at all day, all night, no problems, and we think that that's where it might come back to us.
And I talked to Alan McNish as well about fuel. I said, how many laps can you do? He said 13. I said, can you squeeze 14? He said 13. And I said, but Peugeot are doing 13s and 12s. He said, yeah, they can't do 13 all the time. So it looks like they can do two 12s and then maybe eke out a 13 from the dregs that are left. But he doesn't think they can do 13 every time. And for years, it's been that fuel economy that has swung the balance for Audi. But, of course, luck needs to go hand in hand with it.
It does. The interesting thing, if you remember a little bit earlier on when we saw that tremendous opening stint by Frank Montagny in the 8 car, immediately the man, Stefan Sarrazin, goes out and laps considerably slower than Montagny in the great scale of things, and we start to hypothesise, as we do, about this, that and the other. We wonder maybe that could potentially easily be can we get our 12 and a half laps to 13 laps if we run at X time instead of let's try and drive away from the field time, and that could well have been the logic they were applying.
The Peugeots are getting 12, between sometimes 12, sometimes 13 laps. Last stop for the number 8 car was actually, well, it was only 3 laps because that was a problem, wasn't it, for that car. Before that, though, actually they got 14 laps. Admittedly, the beginning of that was under the safety car, whereas the last stop for the Audi, they did 12 laps and then 13 laps this time around with their last 2 pit stops. So it really is nip and tuck, I think, with Audi and Peugeot on the fuel, and certainly the Audi doesn't have the advantage that it had last year.
Quick word on the number 3 Audi as well. Apparently Dr. Ulrich has just been saying that there's some problem with the fuel pickup, so whether it's a pickup in the tank, whether it's a pump problem or not. So we also were told at one stage we thought it might have been a turbo problem, but maybe that's actually related to lack of fuel rather than lack of turbo. So I think they're working backwards from no power to the source.
That car also had a turbo problem in qualifying, didn't it?
I think that's right.
But that was a much longer stop, of course, this time around.
Do you think it could be a bit like back in the bad old days of Ferrari in the 70s when they had reliability issues? They said we have an electrical issue with the engine, and the problem is Conrod's gone through the alternator, exactly. That kind of thing.
We haven't seen them lately. That was the just behind. Johnny Kane's car, is the GT1 leader, Johnny O'Connell, who's still running absolutely beautifully there in that number 63 car. He's now, the 64 car is on the lead lap, a couple of minutes behind, and then Luc Alfond is driving the number 72 car, and behind him his teammate Yann Claret. They are a couple of laps behind the 2 factory GM Corvettes. Meanwhile, in LMP2, it's still Kunimoto who leads for Team Go in the Porsche RS Spider, but Emmanuel Collard's been gradually chipping away at the advantage that Kunimoto had built up. So Emmanuel Collard now in the Team Essex Porsche RS Spider within 3 seconds or so of the class lead in LMP2.
And the speedy Subaru car of Johnny Kane, 3rd in the LMP2 class, ahead of Chris Dyson in the RML Lola that is still in 4th. Claudio Gosselin's car we just saw on pit road, the car he shares with Karim Oj, that's in 5th. Philip Pater has now left the pits in that car, and in 6th place is the Barazzi Epsilon car. Now onto pit road comes Lucas Luhr. Incidentally, Cadillac Boy emailed us, lemans.eurosport@yahoo.com, wanted to know if Doug Feehan was here. Well, yes, he is, with all the other Pratt & Miller and Corvette racing guys, and we will try and get Sebastian maybe or Justine to go down and have a chat with him. Feehan, of course, has been the architect of this program right from, as he would have it, the get-go, and now will be leading them after hopefully another glorious 1-2 at Le Mans on towards the GT2 program. And in fact, we had an email earlier, Jeremy, maybe you're the man for this, talking about the differences between racing here and racing in the States, and particularly in the Rolex series. how do LMP1 and LMP2 prototypes compare to the Daytona prototypes? We touched on this with John from Mazda Speed yesterday, Thursday now, didn't we? But I suppose an LMP2 car would be a little closer, but probably still a little quicker, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think quite a bit quicker, to be honest. Yes.
By design, though, because John was saying, wasn't he? He was saying that the idea in the Daytona prototypes is not to have them ridiculously fast compared to the GT classes, so that there's not so much danger in the closing speeds.
Yeah, that's right, and also they've worked very hard, the Rolex GT guys, to keep their costs under control. It's not cheap, but it's certainly cheaper than a properly run LMP2 car. So yeah, you're kind of comparing apples and oranges, really. Yes,
I think the parallel with LMP2 though is the fact that you see a lot of the cars that use essentially the same chassis but a different type of engine, which you can see obviously the Lola and LMP2 is a great example of that, how they can do that. But of course, I think the real key thing is if you look at this Lola LMP2 car that we see at the moment, essentially it's the same as the LMP1 car with some modifications in terms of weight, in terms of power output and aero, etc. So chassis-wise, you've got the same foundations to work with, and that's really where the significant difference comes in, I think.
Now, after we've seen so many problems for them, onto pit road for a routine service as we watch the 33 Lola racing round. It's the 39 Schiller Cruise Schiller Motorsport. I only knew it was there in somewhere. The 39 Lola Mazda, the one that had crashed during the wet practice and that has been nothing but trouble for its crew. Now they seem to have beaten the willful beast into some sort of submission, and am I right? Is that Hideki Noda in the car? It certainly looks like his helmet. It's not Jean de Portales. I don't think it's Matthew Marsh. So Noda, who we believe is suffering from quite a lot of food poisoning, is actually in the car. Meanwhile, on the front straight, here is the battle, Jeremy, that you were building up a little moment or two ago. Our LMP2 class leaders, Kunimoto versus Collard, and that is first and second. Team Go versus Team Essex. I wouldn't give it till the end of the lap with Manu Konar with a head of steam behind him, would you?
No, that's right. He's narrowed that gap down from about 14 seconds down to what you can see there, just a couple of Porsche RS Spider lengths. But Kunimoto, hats off to the boy. He's 20 years old, first time in a Le Mans prototype, certainly here at Le Mans anyhow, and he's done a very, very, very respectable job. I mean, Collard has a massive amount of experience in all sorts of different cars, including the Porsche RS Spider, and it's taken him about an hour to reel him in.
And look at the run, also interesting, Kunimoto there, typical single-seater driver, Formula 3 and Nippon driver, little bit of wobbling, little bit of weaving, perfectly legit as long as it's only one move. But normally in sports car racing, it's like, okay, the guy's quicker, let him go, we'll worry about it in the strategy in the stop.
Well, and actually Kunimoto inherited that car in second place. Don't forget, he took the lead from Team Essex at the beginning of his stint, and now, although the headlamps in the Essex car are melting the paint off the back bumper of his Team Go effort, he's not going to give this up without a bit of a go.
That's right, he's been at the wheel of this car for quite a long time now, and when he took the lead, it was Casper Elgar who was driving the Team Essex car. Now, since then, Elgar's handed over to Manu Collard, and Collard is just a little bit quicker.
Now then, this is going to come to an early end, because out on the pit apron we can see the Team Go mechanics. They are getting ready to receive their car, but right next door to them, the 66 Jet Alliance crew are coming out as well. There is no such thing as a quiet pit lane here at Le Mans. Plenty of bouchon. Here's the number 11 car, the Orica car of Sayali. This is 9th at the moment.
Panis just taking over. Interesting to see his experience essential at this point. But of course, remember last year had a car, quite a good run going, and then Marcel Fassler, of course, is one of the Corvette drivers this year. Had a fairly substantial accident out on the at Mansell in the middle of the night, which ended that one fairly comprehensively.
As the GT2 Aston Martin leaves the pit lane again, in comes the entire lead battle. Look at this, it's a race off pit road.
Oh, I was just going to say that generally speaking these two are coming on the same lap, and that's exactly what they're doing right now.
Excellent, bumping him up to the speed limit. Saying now, if Manu Collard was a real gamesman, he'd just push the Team Go car into the pit lane over the speed limit and get them a penalty.
The interesting thing, this maybe explains why Kunimoto was being quite robust in his defence. Maybe the team said, look, we could, this could be significant as it pans out later in the race. Keep him behind. You might have to be a little bit robust, but do what you have to do.
Previous lap, Collard was nearly 4 seconds quicker on the previous lap. On the lap they came in, He was only 3/10 quicker. Kunimoto's
Well, I was going to say,
out.
I think there was going to be a driver change, and it is indeed a driver change.
Sasha
in car
Masson.
number 5.
Sasha Masson versus Manu Collar.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
Sleeves rolled up. Okay, baby. Nothing between them. Let's race.
I was just thinking actually that this could have been significant because you look at.
They changed
They
tyres.
didn't change. They didn't change tyres or driver. Collar goes out.
the
Could be
lead
significant
changes.
because in the Essex car, with the greatest respect, potentially the weakest link is Christian Poulsen out of that. But you look at the 3 drivers. You know, we've just seen Kunimoto clearly doesn't have an issue with pace, and the other 2 drivers are and Masson. We know just how fast these guys are. So let's be honest that. On paper, the Go-Car looks a better package, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Sejiara, former overall winner, 4-team Go with the Audi Team Go. And of course, Sasha Masson for Porsche has won in his class as well, here and in the American Le Mans Series. So Sasha really up for this battle all weekend. Okay, now he's fresh in, he's got fresh rubber, he's 30 seconds behind. How long is he going to take him to close down Manu Collar?
Yeah,
the battle is on.
That was a much longer pit stop than I think they would have wanted down there in the Team Go pit. However, as we've said all along, it's still a heck of a long way to go in this race. What's happening up at the front? Like the lap times have dropped amongst the leaders. Alex first, the last couple of laps doing 3:30 odds, 3:32 that time around, as the 7th place Lola Aston Martin, Jan Charouz, brings his car onto pit lane.
Yes, this is starting to get very exciting, isn't it? We're going to take a quick commercial break to allow us at least to bring our heart rate down a moment or two, Joe. Just to remind you, thanks Sheila Marison, I only glimpsed the sticker, didn't read it properly. National Armed Forces Day, 27th of June. Paul Lord-Trace and everybody else here supporting. We'll be back with more live coverage from Le Mans in just a second. Welcome back live to Le Mans on Eurosport 2, British Eurosport, and across Europe and Asia. Martin Haven, Jeremy Shaw here, watching the battles, well, throughout the field. Jeremy, I was going to say there's not a quiet class, and I almost said apart from GT1, but in fact there's a titanic battle going on between the 2 factory Corvettes for the dominant force in that, and that battle was split up by the first safety car. They were put half a lap apart. Second safety car closed them back up to within 20 seconds of each other, so game on between those 2. We've just seen the lead change twice, just in fact in the pit lane in the LMP2 category, and Sebastian Bour in 4th place in a delayed Peugeot is now, as we ride on board with him, on the fastest lap of anyone in the race. Well, Bour a few moments or 2 ago showing just how close you have to cut things. Diving through on Anthony Davidson, and that was 4th and 5th positions. Bour moving up into 4th place. His second sector, which is down the Mulsanne straight basically to Mulsanne corner, that was the fastest anybody has done in the entire race. You can see as Anthony Davidson comes around the corner, the Peugeot is already heading onwards and upwards, checking out and leaving the Lola Aston behind, Jeremy.
And that was a 3 minutes 26.9 the previous lap by Sebastian Bour, so he's certainly got the hammer down now to make up for that apparent error by him earlier on. We don't know whether it was an error.
Collins Audi. That is, I think, either the 14 or 15 car, surely.
No, is it?
Or is it an R15? It's car number 2. That is Lucas Luhr.
3rd place car.
My Rockefeller had dramas a couple of years ago, and now Lucas Luhr. That is the entrance to the Porsche curves, I think. I think that's where you turn off the normal public road just as you flick right. Jamie Davis will be able to tell me if it is or it isn't now then.
Game over.
Safety car, surely. We must see a safety car.
Absolutely,
for this.
but look at this on board. The car is all over the place. It's a puncture. It is
it's
not
breakage
driver
or a puncture,
error.
isn't it? Definitely,
No,
Martin.
it's bouncing up and down. That is,
something's broken off, gone flat at the left rear corner. Dr. Ulrich, you can see.
Well, hang on a minute. Step forward, anybody who still wants to win this race, because Lady Luck is really playing fast and loose with everybody here. But we have seen cars, think of Alan McNish's crash there, we have seen cars much worse damage than that make it back to the Audi pits and into the race. But it's unlikely now to finish on the podium. So we now have 1 Peugeot, 1 Audi, healthy, racing at the front of the field.
Well, yeah, but then not far behind them is the second of the Peugeot, Sebastian Bour, only 1 lap down to the leaders, turning a series of very fast laps. And then still not far behind him, of course, is Anthony Davidson in that Lola Aston Martin.
Now let's take a look at that Audi. Don't forget, as he started to turn into a right-hander, the car was sitting down and bouncing around. That suggests to me left-hand rear problem. He's clearly obviously now got a right-hand rear problem as well, so actually he may have no driving wheels left. We might be seeing that car being towed into retirement. Lucas is not going to get out patently until he knows there is absolutely nothing he can do. He will get out and have a look around and see what remains of that left rear. If it's still attached and it was only maybe a puncture, there might be a chance if they drag him onto some hard standing. But if they drag him onto some gravel, look, there's a bit of tarmac. That's all he needs. Get me on that tarmac. Let me select first gear. Turn me around. Let me go.
Also,
you'd be lucky if you could drive that car.
But also, where they are on the circuit relative to the pit lane, it couldn't be better for them, really. They're relatively close it now. Good point. Will it drive for starters?
Yeah.
And even if it does drive, is it going to be, in a situation where the marshals will allow the car to rejoin?
I tell you what, if he gets it fired up, they won't have any chance of stopping him.
He certainly had a huge wobble on there from that onboard camera. I would say it's most likely that something broke at the back of that car. There is Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich. You can see there.
Can't believe it.
Shake of the head. No,
and you know what? Down at Peugeot, they won't be able to believe it as well, because if that can happen to them, that can happen to us. And that's the problem, you see. We've still got 18 hours left. We've not even started to crack this thing at all. Left side looks okay.
Look at the intricacies of the bodywork there on the
What's the left wheel doing? It is now turning at least, so it's not jammed solid, which it looked like it might have been before. Now he's found neutral. Has he got any power?
I'll be impressed if he's got any drive to that wheel.
Is the gearbox attached? Now the problem there, of course, is with these cars, the gearbox is normally behind the engine, so that will have taken a lot of the impact. You can change anything inside the gearbox. You cannot change the gearbox casing. That rule was brought in to stop Audi with their entire quick change rear ends, just unbolting everything behind the driver and rolling a new one on. So you can't change the gearbox casing. If that's cracked, then that's it, because they can't fix it.
Because significantly also, if the gearbox casing is cracked, the suspension hangs off that part of the car. Essentially, you've not only lost potentially the gearbox, but you've lost any kind of usable suspension. Now clearly the suspension is slightly worse for wear, to say the least, but it looked to me like there was certainly a degree of angle in that, like something like a toe link or a damper had broken, which is quite easily done. Now we've already seen what happened to the 8 car, wherein that had what appeared to be a relatively minor off and had a fairly significant impact on the amount of damage it did to the car. Now Lucas Stewart, as we've quite rightly said, is clearly sitting in the car for a reason.
On the radio.
They can see the pictures we can see back in the Audi garage, and his engineers are saying, we're trying to work it out, and we're trying to work out whether it's done or whether you can get out.
Yeah. What does the telemetry tell you? What's it saying on the dashboard? Flick through the pages. That could just be a bit of bodywork dragging on the back. A gearbox wouldn't still be attached by a few wires.
There's smoke there.
That's a cracked gearbox case, and that is smoke coming out of the gearbox, as in oil smoke. That's what that looks like.
I don't know. That could just be the radiators blowing out through the overflow. So I'm not entirely certain.
It could just be. Let's not forget, it is a diesel. There's lots of strange smokes coming out the back of it.
It could be anything, but one thing is for sure: they will not give up until the coffin lid goes on it.
But for all those UK fans, all those Brits at home watching this, Aston Martin are on the podium at the moment, which is great news for those fans.
See, Lucas still gesticulating.
Take me, send me.
Get me out of here, get me out of here. And he'll be on the radio to Dominic Zeitner, the engineer, or the chief engineer of that number 2 car, working through his maps on his car, his data on his car, against what they've got, what he felt. Can you get it in gear? Can you get it fired up? Can you do this? Can you do that? Reset, replug, anything to get it going. Because God knows what else could happen in this race. We've got 18 hours. There's absolutely no telling. As it is, the number 8 car of Sebastian Bour is now back up into 3rd place. Anthony Davidson's Lola Aston Martin in 4th. Benoit Chalouet in that 17 Pescarolo Porsche that was also delayed and damaged by that first hour pit lane shunt. That's in 5th. Lucas Lerbot dropping to 6th position, as both the GT1 leading Corvettes have been on pit road. The 63 car is here. 64 was in just a few minutes ago, so regular stuff for them, and you can see, yeah, exactly.
Mike Rockenfeller explaining to Wolfgang Ulrich what he
saw exactly what we saw, didn't he? Absolutely.
But I'm getting the impression, therefore, Lucas has got on the radio and gone, I have no idea. I just suddenly turned in and the car went from me. Now, any racing driver of the standard of Lucas Luhr will have a feeling if it's a progressive thing.
Here he's going, and they're saying get out of the way, and he's going, no, get out of my way.
That is amazing. I mean, that is amazing to me.
Now, he is being forcibly retired from the race by the marshals, and I'm not actually certain that they've got the power to do that.
But I wonder if the race director is making this call, if the race director is seeing this and saying, do not let that car out on the circuit for grounds of safety. The marshals, I'm sure, are acting on what they will be told.
We have seen worse damaged cars driven back.
Agreed.
And if it was French, I'm not sure that would be a problem.
Yeah,
we think of David Terrian, who destroyed the front of a Viper and spent an hour and a half getting it back to the pits. I don't think that would be a problem if it was a Peugeot and it was still moving. We'll go down to the pits and listen to Dr. Ulrich.
Dr. Ulrich, wir haben die Bilder gesehen. Können Sie uns näher sagen, was passiert ist?
Nein, ich habe leider nur das gesehen, was Sie wahrscheinlich auch
Dr. Ulrich, you've seen the pictures. What do you think happened? Said, well, I've only seen what you can see.
Lukas versucht jetzt, das Auto trotzdem irgendwie zurückzubringen, wenn es irgendwie möglich ist.
Lucas is trying to get the car back to us.
Wie sieht die Situation aus mit dem Wagen?
We're not giving up.
Ja, da sind wir wieder am Zusammenbauen.
What's up with car number 3?
In circa 20 Minuten wieder soweit sein.
We're trying to fix it, and hopefully it'll be ready to go in about 20 minutes.
Heißes Eisen im Feuer.
Ja gut, ein heißes Eisen im Feuer.
Things aren't looking very good. Only one car still going at the moment. If it's the right car, then it'll be enough, but it is looking very hard. So many things have happened already this year that nobody could have imagined. But until tomorrow at 1500 at 3 p.m, nobody will know what's going to happen. And guys, he is absolutely right. I mean, there have been so many twists and turns already. We were looking forward to an epic sprint race. What we weren't expecting was this ball of confusion.
Yeah, you're right there, but it's still a very fascinating race so far. But certainly we've had, I think, more problems than we would have anticipated. But you know, there's still we're not even 6 hours in, are we?
This is, I mean, when you compare it to last year, it's as competitive, but a whole lot more chaotic. And even though last year we had this threat of rain, which ultimately did come and change the race quite dramatically, at the moment the forecast is the weather's going to be fairly consistent through the night.
Until tomorrow,
However, coming back to Dr. Ulrich's point, if that rain comes at, for example, midday tomorrow, and Grande Casino, to quote our Italian friends.
Yeah, no question. It is turning more into a lottery than a race at the moment, Jeremy. And you know, every fresh minute really gives us some more dramas.
Yeah, there's another massively fast lap there from Sebastian Bour in third place, still 1 lap down, the 3 minutes 25.508. So within 4/10 of a second of the fastest lap of the race, which was set, well actually no, I lied, because the number 7 car had gone a little bit quicker. It's done a 3:25.028, but on lap 2 of this race, Frank Montagny turned car number 8's fastest lap at a 3:25.106, and now Bourdais, I mean, it's almost perfect conditions right now. It's cooling down, the sun has gone down.
The track is getting grippier.
Fast.
The temperature is coming out of it. It is getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and until 1 or 2 in the morning it will continue to get quicker and quicker. And still Lucas Luhr is not giving this up. And I have to say, I do not know the rules on this, but it's not a public road.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There isn't any logical reason other than somebody somewhere, whether it's the marshals, whether it's the race director, is saying, no, you can't do it. I mean, other than that, why not? I mean, he's driving along a safe bit of road.
The car is behind the wall, isn't it?
But they've dragged him in. He's facing the wrong direction, so he wants to be facing the other direction to go out through the gap. And I would think 3-point turning that car might be a little beyond
just
him.
A little bit. Well, there's in certain forms of motorsport, there's an argument that once it's in the gravel, once it's been moved by a marshal, effectively parc fermé conditions apply to that car. Now, obviously, different rules, different championships. However, you wonder, and going back to your point about if it were a Peugeot, for example, then who could know?
That shot there, he's behind the barriers. There is an opening at the other end. So in fact, if he could get them to move that flipping crane out the way, he could get it in first gear and drive. And do you know what? if he starts moving, the people will have to get out of the way. It's the crane I would think he'd have trouble getting round. But did you notice on the entry there, just as you're coming off, forking off to the right to avoid going down what was the old Maison Blanche, how much smoke from the barbecues on the campsites is billowing across the track. You know, we're almost in Sebring territory there. It's starting to get quite smoky.
Yeah, I was just looking out of our booth here over to our right, down to sort of towards the Porsche goes, and it looks like there's a mist down there. It really is.
I think it is temperature inversion plus barbecue equals early afternoon or early evening mist. You're right. But
it is still very
nice.
It does. I just walked back into the commentary box a few minutes ago, and it is incredibly humid. You can really feel it in the air. It's got that sense of that you could have a very misty night.
And it's so humid.
I've done a race myself in the past with this kind of weather conditions. You get to 2-3 in the morning, suddenly it's basically fog bound, so that could be significant.
It will be, and of course the trees down all the straights here really hold the fog in as well. Listen, we had an email in from Fiona Leggett, wants to know how some of the cars are going. Right, so we're going to get down and have a quick word with Timo Bernhard, find out exactly what's the case with Audi number 3, and then we'll try and run down some of how the other British cars are going. We're not broadcasting exclusively to the UK, as you probably understand, but we will try and run down some of the classes and pick up, well, Fiona particularly wants to know how Team Straka are doing. We will have a... Oh, so Jeremy, let's get a little list of things while we wait for Timo Bernhard. So let's run down the order. Well, as far as British content is concerned, of course, Audi number 1, Alan McNish, Tom Christensen driving it, that is still in second place. Aston Martins 4th and 6th, 008 with Anthony Davidson up, 007 in 6th place with Jean Charus. And let's get down to the pit lane and catch up with Timo Bernhard. Of course, the Audi number 3 has been, as you see, the mist hanging in the trees, mist smoke, barbecue smoke there as well. Audi number 3 has lost the better part of an hour in the pit lane.
Timo Bernhard, erste Le Mans mit Audi, das haben sie sich sicherlich ein bisschen anders vorgestellt.
Timo, first Le Mans with Audi, and it's been pretty difficult. Yeah, we were very well prepared, we thought. Cars have been very good up until we had our problem. We're hoping to go on the podium. We're really motivated, the mechanics were as well. Unfortunately, it's a little bit out of our hands now. Car was quick, lost a couple of laps at the beginning. We started to climb back up the order, 7th or 8th before this latest problem. And what exactly is the problem with the car?
Festgestellt, dass auf der einen Seite Benzindruck, zu wenig Benzindruck war.
Fuel pressure problem, which Dr. Ulrich told us about. I had to slow down a little. And then we discovered the problem quite quickly when we came into the garage, but it's taken a long time to repair it. And he's saying hopefully we will be back out in just a few minutes. Dr. Ulrich said to us maybe about another 10 minutes. Jeremy Shaw, yeah, there's definitely a feeling of darkness in the air, the impending evening. It is pretty humid, and already it's not just barbecue smoke. We can see mist hanging in the trees on the Mulsanne straight and on the other straights around, and indeed through the fast corners is going to be just as interesting. And so, of course, with mist comes reduced visibility. With reduced visibility comes increased chance of contact and running over debris. So I think the twists in this tale are far from over.
All doom and gloom, it sounds like.
Well, no, not at all. For us, no reason at all to leave our posts.
No, quite. I mean, there comes Anthony Davidson now up into 3rd place, because Sebastian Bour has just made another pit stop in car number 8, so that elevates Anthony Davidson in 008 Lola Aston Martin to 3rd place, and there is Lucas Luhr finally out of that number 2 Audi. So that car officially now is out of the race. And
you know what? That marshal is a braver man than me.
Yeah.
I think basically Lucas has been prevented from trying to rejoin the track by the marshals, and obviously eventually in the end Dr. Ulrich or Reinhold Jost or Ralf Juttner very probably has said, okay, if they really aren't going to let you, then there's nothing we can do about it.
And there's a fundamental difference between the rules in Europe and the rules in North America, where in North America, and I'm not trying to say anything's better than the other, but in North America the organisers fall over themselves perhaps arguably unfairly to some other people, who knows, to keep the cars in the race.
Yeah.
Why do they do that? Well, it's not to please the teams, it's to please the fans. The fans came to see the cars and the drivers in the race, not out of the race.
We've got 250,000 fans here, and we've got 100 million fans watching around the world on TV, and we have lost one of our potential front runners, and with it just a little bit of the spice and the drama. Peugeot lead, Audi close, a minute and a half between first and second. Welcome back live to Le Mans 2009, where we have around a minute and a half in our lead battle. Alex Wurz leads for Peugeot, Tom Christensen chases for Audi, and not much between them at the moment. Anthony Davidson lies third in the Lola Aston Martin, and there is Lucas Luhr leaving his car at the side of the road and joining us as a guest in the Eurosport British booth at the moment, and just about to pick up a place because of the retirements of number 2 Audi is Christian Klien. Christian driving the number 7 Peugeot. Obviously your race started fast, and then a major drama. The car is okay now after that puncture at the rebuild?
Yeah, the car is okay after the puncture, but to repair the car it took us 8 laps. And to start the 24-hour race after an hour with that, such a big gap to the front guys, it's just not very motivated. But we keep fighting. We're now on P13, and we just go maximum attacks to the front.
Well, there's nothing you can do now except drive as fast as you can. We're only 1/4 of the way into the race, and already we've seen so much drama. It's not going to be quiet between now and tomorrow afternoon, that's for sure.
That's true, so that's why it's very important for us just to push as hard as possible. As you could see, the first couple of hours, so many things happened already, and if we follow our strategy with the pace we're going now, which is actually quite good, then we still manage to go up to around P4 or 5. And some small problems of other cars, and then you still have some small possibilities to be on the podium.
The way this race has started, I wouldn't count anything out, Simon. It's just a lottery already.
It is. Now, we've seen some changes with the Audis. Earlier on in the race, we saw them changing the nose sections of the car. It seemed from the interviews we heard with the drivers that they didn't have quite the balance of the car that they had. And obviously, the 908 is a far more developed car than that. As far as the balance of the car, the setup of the car, even though the problems you've had, are all the cars pretty much the same for Peugeot, or have you gone different ways for different cars?
No, they're pretty much the same, actually. We tried a lot of different setups in free practice, but in the end, all 3 cars, are now on the same configuration, and the car is very balanced. It's quite easy to drive, and that's what you're looking for endurance racing.
Yeah, we're going to get an interview with Dr. Wolfgang Uhrig, so let's hear his thoughts on how things are developing for Audi.
Nur noch mal zurück, oder ist das Auto retired?
Ja, definitiv kann er
The
nicht
car is officially retired.
entschieden, weil aus dem Auto
Yeah, he can't get back. The race directors have decided that he's not allowed to drive. They want the car off the track. They think it's too dangerous. We have to accept it, so unfortunately we have no choice. So the number 2 car is an official abandon. You've already picked up the place while you've been here talking to our German colleagues next door, Christian. 12th place already. Now, on pace, there is still a chance you could stand on the podium in Le Mans tomorrow afternoon.
There is still a chance, yeah. We have to keep fighting. The pace of our car is really good, and also what we know, there is some rain coming around lunchtime tomorrow, so anything can happen, and we keep fighting for a good as possible position and maybe for a podium.
The other thing significant is your car has been the fastest of the 3 Peugeots. Your car set the fastest lap of the race, so presumably that pace is there if you need it. You can take the car and push that hard. As we get into the night, presumably the weather conditions stay the same. You've got a good chance of being able to do those times, and maybe even better still.
Yeah, I think track will get faster, definitely, especially in the morning when the sun comes up again. And our car, we know we have nothing to lose. We can push as hard as possible, go to the limits, and that's why we can do very good lap times.
Christian, just one last question, because I know you need to get back because nothing is certain here. We've seen right from the beginning of the race the Audis working on their setup and changing, trying to get rid of some understeer, still working on getting a balance. But your cars look ready to go right from the beginning. Racing in the Le Mans series, has that helped you get the car as close as it is to the ultimate pace at Le Mans, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that we race the third year now with that car, we know quite well where we want to have the balance of the car. And it was easy actually for us to set up the car. And for my car, all three drivers are very happy with the balance. We can push quite hard.
Okay, well listen, I know you've got an awful lot of fast driving to do. Thank you very much for coming up to join us. Hopefully we'll catch up with you later on. Christian Klien from the number 7 Peugeot team, thank you very much indeed. So that car, as Christian has been upstairs, has picked up a place as a result of the retirement of the number 2 Audi of Lucas Luhr. So it's on its way back up. We're looking at our race leader, Alexander Wurz. And again, the one common factor when you watch these drivers in these prototype cars, that's north of 200 miles an hour on the straights, is they just look so relaxed. Evening is upon us. The sun is starting to set here in the centre of Département de la Sarthe, but of course it's a reasonably short night. It won't be properly dark until very nearly midnight, and it'll start to become dawn again much before 4 a.m. So the night is short, but we already talked about the fact that the weather, well, it's very, very humid. There's a lot of rain on the ground. There's a lot of water on the ground. Today's been very hot. Gets the water up into the atmosphere, but it hasn't escaped because there's quite a lot of cloud cover. So as the temperature drops, the water comes back down as mist. And that is going to cause all sorts of problems for everybody out there. Visibility leads to all sorts of dramas on the track.
It does indeed, and the other issue therefore, you start to wonder, well, there's something that could play back into Audi's hand in a slight way. If you've got a windscreen, that could be an issue. If you've got mist, if you've got an open-top car, of course, you've got a crash helmet as opposed to a windscreen doing your visual protection, as it were, but a very different set of circumstances.
Now, actually, interesting you brought up the windscreen, something we talked about during qualifying that we've not touched on. We actually talked to Mike Newton about this at the RML team just after he got out of the car. I said, how close are you to the 32 degrees, which is the maximum temperature that's allowed inside the cockpit? In the closed cars, the ACO have temperature sensors that send data back to the ACO every time the car comes past the pits, measuring the cockpit temperature. The maximum allowable is 32 degrees. I said, how close are you to 32? He said, very.
Yeah, and that
31 point something. So these cars now, the closed cars, running an air conditioning unit, whether you're in a GT car like a Porsche or a Corvette, or whether you're in a Peugeot or a Lola Coupe, or one of those, as the Pescarolo Peugeot, which is third, comes down pit road. We haven't seen anybody pulled into the pits yet, and as the temperature drops, the chances of that recede. So it looks as though all the teams have done their homework well enough on that front for it not to be an issue.
It is going to be potentially significant if you see these things happening as it starts to pan out, and be interesting. Now, Trello has really impressed me. We knew this kid was going to be awesome. Everybody who's worked with him says this. I was talking to Oliver Jarvis earlier. He's raced in Japan and knows a lot about Benoit Trello. We know our colleague. Oh, big lock-up there on the way now. Is that purely a lock-up?
That's a purely lock-up. No, that was a lock-up. He just locked it up and then it went sideways. They're not looking at the tyres yet. There are no tyres out, so I don't think it was a puncture.
No, but maybe a little bit surprised. You don't want to be locking up the tyres like that too often. The track, even in the pit road, it can be fairly abrasive, and you do not want to abuse these tyres. We've seen how hard these Peugeot drivers are driving these cars. I mean, often we see them just the rear end stepping out under acceleration, and that tends to chew up the tyres, and they didn't change tyres that time.
Well, the other thing, of course, is we've talked all the way through the race about how green the track is. It's still covered in dust and dirt and diesel from being public road. And although there's lots of rubber going down on the racing circuit, that doesn't have the same effect in the pit lane entry. That is still probably a lot more slippery than it normally would do in the race. Here's our chasing car, Sebastian Bour in fourth. Alex Wurz still leads for Peugeot. Stay with us on Eurosport.
Start your engines. Legendary adventure. A magnificent cast. in a 24-hour ordeal for man and machine. Le Mans 24 Hours, all weekend, live on Eurosport and Eurosport 2.
Mitchell, partner of endurance racing and Mitchell and Green X Challenge.
Enjoy all the excitement of the Le Mans 24 Hours with Peugeot.
Mitchell, partner of endurance racing and Mitchell and Green X Challenge.
Leader on pit road, that's Alex Wurz, his number 9 Peugeot, the race leader. He's on pit road. So too is Pedro Lamy in car number 7, the third of the Peugeot 908 HDI FAPs, and that car in 12th place. We were just talking to Christian Klien a moment or two ago, Jeremy Shaw, and they're both in now for regular service.
Yeah, and both of those two guys come in after 12 lap stints. Alex Wurz, he's done a triple stint in that car, and he's handed over the car to, I didn't see who it was getting in, to be perfectly honest.
I didn't either. 7 car looks like Pedro Lamy is staying in, possibly. He is keeping tyres on. Now, we have got a guest who's joined us in the studio. We're going to have a quick chat to Eurosport International for a moment or two, so I might just ask him to hold on. Jos Verstappen. So those of you hanging on for news of the Lola Aston Martins, Jos, of course, in the 008 car. Darren Turner is driving that car in 5th place, and problem for Luc Alphonse's team. That's Patrice Goulart, and that is a heavy frontal impact. Is that the first chicane on the Mulsanne straight? Looks like he's gone straight on there. I can't think where else it would be, unless that again is the entry to the Porsche curves. We're going to rejoin Eurosport International in just a second. So we will welcome Jos Verstappen in a couple of minutes. Welcome to live pictures from Le Mans. To our viewers rejoining us for a moment on Eurosport International, we'll come back to you through the night. You're looking here at the freshly pit-stopped lead Peugeot. Marc Genet now just taking over the wheel after Alexander Wurz held that car in the lead through 3 stints. And where have you been? There has been so much drama here. I'm not even going to get through it in the next 2 minutes. Our race leader, Sebastian Bour, as it was, lost a couple of laps in the pits, dropped back down into 5th position. He's now back up to 3rd. Audi number 2, that was 3rd, crashed out dramatically, is out of the race. Looked like a left rear suspension failure or puncture for Lucas Luhr. Pitched him off at about 175 miles an hour at the entry as they go off the public road into the Porsche chicane. That car, the race director decided was not safe to go back onto the track to make it back to the pits. So Audi are down to effectively 1 functioning car, the number 3 car with turbo and fuel pressure problems. This is the pictures. Lucas Luhr going off. Dramatic stuff, and Dr. Ulrich, I'm afraid, forced to accept the inevitable. The ACO would not let Lucas, who did get the car moving, try and rejoin the race. So at the moment we have a 1.5 minute gap between Marc Genet's Peugeot in the lead and Tom Christensen in the number 1 Audi in 2nd place. 3rd place is the recovering Bourdais. 4th place, the recovering number 17 Pescarolo Peugeot, as you see highlight pictures of Lucas Luhr walking away from the car for the 2nd time in 3 years. That team has been very unlucky early retirees. 5th position and 6th place overall, and the best petrol powered cars, Darren Turner and Jean Charuz in 008 and 007. The Lola Aston Martins in 7th place is the first of the Audi R10 TDIs, Charles Voltzmann. LMP2 category, still a battle between the Porsche Spiders. Emmanuel Collard leading for Team Go. Corvette hold a stranglehold in GT1, and the Risi competition Ferrari team leading in GT2. We'll be back to join you later. And so, as we return to our audience on Eurosport 2 exclusively, welcome to Jos Verstappen. Jos, thank you very much for staying with us. Lola Aston Martin, 50 years since Aston Martin last won the race, and I'm not going to say things are going really well because I don't want to watch a car retire right now. Are you enjoying your Le Mans so far?
Yes, very much so. I must say we're very happy how things are going now. The car's running very well. We have no issues at the moment, so it's looking really strong and very good.
Now, while we've got somebody here who knows, we have been asked a couple of times whether all of the cars are running direct injection engines. They are, all three of them running the direct injection engine, okay? That answers that one. What about this new project for Aston Martin Racing? Obviously, started in Barcelona with the first win, and now coming to Le Mans with, you know, a lot of history behind it, but really it's the first year of the Le Mans project. I guess everybody at the moment must be pretty happy with how things are shaping up.
Yes, absolutely. We are 5th and 6th on the moment. Things are going well. We're doing great stints as well. Lap time it's definitely good. So it's looking very challenging, and we're happy with the situation on the moment.
Well, before Jeremy jumps in, what about being associated with golf, of course, lots of Le Mans history, and Aston Martin as well. When you're on the track, are you starting to see flags and stuff waving as you come by? Are you getting that feeling yet?
Yeah, you see, for sure you see flags waving with Gulf and Aston Martin, for sure, and definitely over there braking in the Ford chicane. So, yes, but when you're on the track, you concentrate it, go as quick as you can, and don't take any risk. I think it's important that we finish the race. I mean, that's our goal.
Absolutely, and to try and avoid drama, I mean, you know as well as anybody else how tough this race can be, but also the chance maybe even potentially to get on the podium. That would just be a dream come true for everyone at Aston Martin Racing.
Yeah, we're not thinking about yet, but things are going good, what I said before, but there's a long way, a very long way to go, and the thing is that we have to stay on the track, and hopefully we don't get too much problems.
Jos, are you surprised by how close to the overall pace you are? I mean, you're turning, 3 minutes 30, not very many. The quickest laps of the Audis are not much quicker than you. You're within 2 or 3 seconds a lap of the Audis in terms of lap time.
Yeah, but still, I think what you have seen in qualifying, it's still 4.8 seconds quicker than us. And I think they're running a lot more downforce than we do, and they're pulling the same speed on the straight. So for sure they still have an advantage on us.
Stefan Gregoire's Corvette, driven by Patrice Goulart, we just saw in the barriers. Any idea what happened? So no, we're not entirely sure. Not sure. Patrice hasn't told us very much yet. It's a real shame for the team, though. We were really hoping to get onto the podium. We were in a podium position, chasing the factory cars, and obviously I'm very disappointed. We're all very disappointed. Any chance of getting back into the road? Well, it really depends how badly damaged the car is. If we get it back to the pits, we're not sure that we'll get onto the podium. Well, Jos, again, we've seen so much drama, so many twists in this race. Can you remember a Le Mans like this? It's just been mad.
I must be honest, I mean, I didn't watch it every time, but I must say, especially in the first couple of hours, a lot was happening. Audi was going off, Peugeots were taking each other off. So it's a lot, and still are. I mean, another Audi went off, so it's very entertaining, I must say.
If this was a Le Mans Series race, you'd say, okay guys, settle down, it's only the first couple of hours. But this is 4 Le Mans Series races altogether. Yeah. Really, everybody needs to just, maybe the evening will help bring some of the temperature down and just chill everybody out a bit.
Yeah, who knows, but I think it's also the challenge between all the teams. I mean, it will be harder and harder all the time, and that's what we see. I mean, everybody is going flat out. It's not a 24-hour race anymore. It's like Formula 1 and then for 24 hours, and it's good. I mean, I like it, this kind of race.
You're clearly enjoying yourself. What are the track conditions like today? I mean, we've had the rain on Wednesday. Conditions were fine for qualifying, but what were the track conditions like right now?
The track is definitely improving compared to the qualifying sessions. There was a lot of dust and stones on the track, but now the grip is coming. Has definitely make a balance change in the car. I think it will help us because we had a bit of understeer in the practice, and now the understeer is going away, and that will help our speed.
Do you think you need to adjust the car to that change of balance?
I don't think we have to adjust it because we had some understeer, and I think the balance will be fine now. Obviously, I haven't driven the last 3 hours, but what I hear from Anthony as well, he said the balance is coming better and better all the time.
What about tyre life? How long are you looking at running the tyres? Particularly, of course, through the night where conditions are a little cooler and tyre life is better?
Yeah, I think everybody is doing 3 stints now. also we do. Maybe there's a 4 stint in there in the night, but we don't know. Or you go to a softer compound and you do another 3 stints, but that's what we have to see.
Now, one of the other battles we've been looking at is this huge battle between the two Porsche Spiders. Of course, you're intimately aware of just how quick those cars and how good they are. They are clearly a long way ahead of anything else in the field, and they're very reliable. What's going to be the secret? What do you think is going to be the deciding factor in that battle?
Also, I think what they have to do is stay on the track, stay out of trouble. For sure, those cars, those LMP2 Porsches, they're very good machines. I know because I've driven one last year, but they're unbelievable quick in the fast corners. And for sure, one of those they will win if nothing happened to them.
Okay, well listen, Jos, thank you so much for your time coming up to join us there. Millions of fans of Aston Martin and Golf all over the world who wanted to hear from you guys, so thank you for your time. Thank you to Jos Verstappen then. His car, we remind you, is currently battling for 5th place with the sister 007. We'll be back live from Le Mans in just a second. Stay with us.
Back live on Eurosport, and there's a problem, it would appear, for the 008 Aston Martin. It was in the pits only 4 laps ago, and Jos Verstappen has just left us, and it's as virtually moments after he did, the car came into the pits. They have the front, they have the nose off that car, as the 007 car also into the pits, and they're going to have to drag that car. Was it going to reach it? Maybe the fueler will just reach it, Simon Hill.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation for the Aston guys. You can see doing the driver change at the same time. It's certainly less than ideal, but thinking on your feet is part of the challenge of Le Mans, as we can see. Now, in a moment, we're going to be hearing from the pit lane. I think we may have a chance to speak to Thiago Monteiro, one of the drivers in the Orica cars. Let's hear from Thiago now.
Your first ever real Le Mans stint, how was it?
It was amazing, really. It's really impressive with those cars, those speeds for 2 hours and a half. It's long. It's the first time I was so long in the car. The most difficult thing is the traffic. You really have to be careful because you have so many different speeds of cars, and it's quite crazy sometimes. But that's really, I was enjoying it, and I had a lot of fun.
How do you see the situation for your car in the race now?
Well, you know, we lost a lot of time at the beginning with a mistake from one of my teammates. It happens. It's, you know, you're pushing still. You know, it's long, but you're still pushing. So we lost quite a lot of time, like 3-4 laps to the other car. Now we still have a long way to go. It's such a long race. Look at what happened. How many things happened already since the beginning of the race. So we can't give up. Never. We still focus 100%. We're going to be pushing 100%.
So what are you going to do now?
Now I'm going to eat. I'm starving.
Okay, bon appetit.
Thank you.
Well, obviously getting his priorities right there. Thiago, like all good racing drivers. And talking of good racing drivers, we're delighted to be joined in the commentary box by Pierre Caffa. Pierre, at Le Mans with the team, won the event last year. Interesting battle. We've been watching the battle between the Porsches and the Ferraris. It's been crazy throughout the race. And how do you think it's going to start to turn as the night comes for you?
Yeah, it's quite hard this year in the GT2 class, but we see it the whole way in America in the ALMS Championship. It's always a great battle between Porsche and Ferrari. And here I think it will be one of the toughest races here in Le Mans this year. And yeah. In the moment, everything is okay. We are leading, so I cross my fingers for the night, because you know, in the moment the track starts to get a little bit damp and it gets a little bit slippery. But I know that Jamie is a very experienced driver, and he will have everything under control. And to drive with such a nice guys with Mika and Jamie together, it's like a bank, you know. And I'm really glad to be a little part of this fantastic team, this Risi Competizione team, which make a very good job in preparation of the car, and also here on the racetrack when you see when the car is coming into the pits, how every mechanic is under pressure himself and in a good positive way, and do everything for the car to get it done in a proper job and in a proper time, and that's really nice.
You know,
let's just interrupt you 1 second. Here is a picture of the number 3 car being brought out onto the racetrack. Romain Dumas has been patiently waiting, an hour and a half probably or so. Finally, the work is completed on that car, and Romain takes every opportunity to get out onto the racetrack as quick as he can. But yeah, that was a fabulous battle in the early stages of this race, wasn't it? With 5 or 6 cars absolutely nose to tail, and it was just a typical Le Mans battle.
Tom Coronel, what is more important, to get a massage on your right foot or your left foot?
Well, of course, the right foot. The right foot is for the accelerator and the brake. But here there are a lot of braking points, especially in front of the chicanes. And I feel the cushion underneath my feet. And just I had a little bit of cramp, so she said I'd take care of it. It's always very handy to have these people here. They give very good massages and also good for the feet. It's a need, 100%.
How's the situation for you guys in the race?
The race is going quite well. The car is running really neat. We're not fast, but we're very consistent, and the drivers are doing a great job. The team is doing a good job. So as long as you are consistent in the long distance, it will be all right. Car feels good. Car feels really like a Swiss watch. No noises. Everything is fine. So. I hope to talk to you at 3 o'clock tomorrow, because it seems better than we had expected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Interesting hearing from Tom Coronel. Now, Pierre, do you have somebody rubbing your feet after each drive, or is it only Tom Coronel has this special service?
No. I think a Ferrari is much more comfortable to drive, and so I don't need a massage on my right foot. But I know Tom, and I'm sure he really enjoyed the massage.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. It's Tom Coronel. Now, I think you'd rather have the Ferrari because it's a better car than the Spiker. Spiker doing a great job,
yes,
but we know everybody had different situations, different budget. Interesting, we had Johnny Molam here talking with us earlier. Of course, has driven for EC and won at Sebring in the past. Made some interesting comments about the difference between Porsche and Ferrari this year. That the Porsche seems to have maybe a slightly stronger engine, but uses its tyres a little harder. The Ferrari seems maybe a slightly more kinder car on its tyres. Is that how you're seeing it?
I have to say Porsche made a very, very good job over the winter. They developed the car really nice and really fast. I have to say they have a really, really high top speed on the straight, and they're getting better also on the tyre wear, but still the Ferrari is better in terms of tyre wear. So that is our advantage here in Le Mans right now. If it works out with our triple stints, which we don't know yet, then we will have a great advantage. But we hope, and I cross my fingers.
Now, when are you back in the car, Pierre? When are we going to see you driving again?
Jamie will do a double stint, maybe a triple stint, and after Jamie I will join the car again.
We asked this question of Jos Verstappen a few minutes ago. How are the track conditions now?
Yeah, as I said before, the track, it's normal when it starts to get dark that the track gets more ambient and more damp, and it gets more slippery. The times, I think it was a little bit slower. Jamie decided to go on soft tires half an hour ago, and the temperature for the soft tires was quite high, but now the temperature dropped down, so we will see quicker times now, or maybe in 15-20 minutes.
And for the rest of the race, the team feel confident you can run at this pace now, continue this pace, or do you have to maybe be conservative at all?
We will not conservative this year, because as we said already, it's a really tough race this year. We have to fight like hell, and when I see Patrick is in the car right now, he's really fast. We want to have a little gap between us and the Porsche guys, and then we can step back in maybe tomorrow morning.
And maybe then you can have your foot massage if you're in the race.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Pierre, for your time. Enjoy the rest of the race. We'll see you again.
See you tomorrow.
So Pierre Caffer from the Risi Competizione team. Jeremy is always fascinating. We've had 3 fantastic racing drivers in 5 minutes. Aren't we lucky? Christian Klien and now Jos Verstappen and Pierre Caffer, and then us 3 hacks in here just jabbering away.
What did I say to Jos? I said, I don't want to say how well everything's going. I don't want you to be watching your car retiring as he's sitting here. Luckily, he got out of the booth before they pushed 008 away, but this car will not... Is Hugh Chamberlain running this car? This is like one of his cars. It will not leave the garage. Every time it comes past, it keeps pulling in. This thing is really having
Pierre was
fuel
saying
problems.
the track conditions, a bit slippery right now. Well, how slippery are they? Not that slippery, apparently, because Nicola Manassia has just set the fastest lap of the race. A 3 minutes 24.628. That car, the number 7 car, back up into 12th place overall. Still 6 laps behind the race leader, but that is stunning pace.
And what did Christian Klien from the horse's mouth said? We have nothing to lose. Excuse the accent, but that was basically what he was saying, and that's proving it. Nick Manassia, well, Quick Nick we call him, and there's a reason for that. The guy is absolutely mega.
And Sebastian Bour, meanwhile, does 325.260 as well, so the Peugeots are flying.
Audi number 3 is just about the last car in the race now. We've had 4 retirements, and it's about 48th or 49th and still dropping. The RML car goes out, which is in 4th place. Tommy Erdos now up in the LMP2 category. The LMP2 lead battle has just been on pit road. Kasper Elgaard is ahead of Sascha Maassen. Essex ahead of Team Go. In 3rd place is the 33 speedy Lola Coupe. Xavi Pompidou at the wheel of that, 3 minutes 47 his last lap. Tommy Erdos did a 4-minute flat on his last lap. And just to finish the Fiona Leggett thought, the 23 car, Peter Hardman is driving it, is 28th at the moment. So that's where the Stracker car is at the moment.
Just a note on that LMP2 battle, Sascha Maassen still at the wheel of the Team Go car number 5, Porsche RS Spider, but Kasper Elgaard now has taken over in the number 31 team from Emmanuel Collard. So
yes, that's right.
They're out of sequence, those two, in terms of their driver changes, but running very similar lap times, and the gap was somewhat over a minute before that driver change, and they both just made a pit stop, I believe.
So that will have now see when the gap opened up, didn't it? Because Maassen made the driver change, tyre stop and everything, so they will have gained 30 seconds pretty much just from that factor alone. So they should be back within a nanosecond of each other by now, probably. They left the pits together. Now we're joined by a familiar voice in a familiar place, but at the wrong time of year. Welcome back, Toby Moody. How's
it's the right time of year, Martin. It's the right time of year. Come on, get it right.
You should be painting your front door at this time of year.
Not at all, not at all. Well, as always, as soon as I turn up, there's going to be an interview. I believe we're going to set up David Richards down there in the Aston Martin garage. I just bumped into fellow commentator, of course, Anthony Davidson, who was just leaving the back of the garage as I was coming over to your commentary box, Martin and Jeremy, just a moment ago. In the meantime, here is David Richards, who's, I rather fancy, having a good run with the leading Aston in 5th position.
David Richards, your 008 car was running in 3rd and 4th position until a while ago, but what happened?
I touched another car and broke the wheel, and then he would change that, but he's come back in with a bad vibration, something on the front hub, maybe a wheel bearing or something to do with the steering rack, so we're changing all that area now.
So when are the guys going to bring the car out again?
Sorry?
When is the car going out again, you think?
Well, I don't know, as soon as they finish the wheel bearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that was the drama for Jos Verstappen car. He was up here earlier, Darren Turner at the wheel of that car, and doing a massive stinting session on that one, wheel bearing the problem. So little niggles, but they're still not doing badly for a brand new team here at Le Mans.
No, it's a shame for Darren. He'd only been in the car for 3 or 4 laps, so he'll be really disappointed to have to bring that car in for a lengthy pit stop.
I have to say, there's one luxury that I've afforded myself, guys. There's one disadvantage with commentary. You're either upstairs in a commentary box, or you're downstairs in the pits during a race, a Grand Prix, or whatever it may well be. But I managed to get myself on the inside of the Porsche curves for the first 3-4 laps or so, as 55, and then very quickly, of course, 54 cars came streaming past me. I've been to NASCAR races, I've been to rallies, I've been to Formula One, I've been to many other things. It was the most amazing sight to see all those cars barreling through in the sunshine of a French afternoon at Le Mans. The quietness before they came round, the din, the barrage on the senses as they came past you, and then the quietness again, and then the din again, and it was fantastic experience. And then, of course, the major dramas that we've seen, you know, the Peugeots taking themselves out momentarily down there in the pits, an unbelievable scenario. and then this number 2 Audi going off. I don't know, I wasn't listening to any commentary at that time, I was busy doing other things, Martin. Any explanation for why that Audi went off? It looked to me like a rear left went in some shape or form.
Absolutely, and we haven't yet caught up with Lucas. I'm sure he's back in the garage and debriefing with the crew at the moment, but that's absolutely what it looked like from the onboard pictures, Jeremy, that the left rear sat down and he was a passenger into the tyres, but it was movable. But the race director, just to reinforce, the race director, Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, told us, said he may not take it back out onto the track. He deemed it too dangerous, and so the car was effectively abandoned by the race director to its fate. 008 is in the garage and has dropped a few positions. Those cars were 4th and 5th earlier on. Peugeot's Benoit Trollier in the Pescarolo number 17 car up to 4th ahead of Stefan Mucker in the 007 car. And while we've got Peugeot climbing back up the order after some earlier dramas, we welcome a family member, not an Eurosport family member, but Christian Peugeot. We're going to have a quick word with him just after we take another quick commercial break before we leave Eurosport 2 and head back over onto the big dog. So we'll be back live with more action from Le Mans in a couple of seconds as Marc Genet continues to lead heading into the darkness hours. Lead this race, but not in a way that you might have expected if you'd watched the first 30 minutes. This has been such a bizarre race, and we're joined now by somebody who could not be more closely associated with Peugeot if he tried. Christian Peugeot, communications manager for Peugeot and Team Peugeot Total. Bienvenue, Christian. Welcome to Eurosport. What a race!
Yes, you're right. This race is extraordinary. Every hour there is something new, unexpected. So I think we will be a little bit tired after the race. Maybe a little bit less tired if we win. But anyway, it will be really extraordinary 24 hours.
I think so. Last year was a sensationally close race, but this year is just a completely different story.
Yes. Well, you know, many things, unexpected many things are happening. So, you know, there is a sort of uncertainty. We don't know what will happen. What I can say, of course, we feel not too bad with the present situation, but I don't feel secure at all about the result.
I don't think anybody feels secure at all about anything at the moment. Now, your cars, the number 9 car, the number 8 car, both in the top 3 at the moment. Henri Pescarolo's Peugeot 908 in 4th position.
Yes.
Now, obviously, you've got a strong team, a very well known car, and a little quicker again than last year, better prepared, better rehearsed. This is your best chance since the 905 to win here at Le Mans.
Absolutely. I think you said it. We are well prepared. Our pilots are well prepared. I saw them this morning. They were in a nice shape, mental shape. So all the team is well prepared. Last year we had a problem with the car that we had to rebuild. This year it was not the case. So everybody has slept the week before normally. So we have no excuse if we don't win.
I have to say, this year Peugeot looked calm and Audi looked not quite ready. Now that must give the team a lot of confidence when they see what the main rival is looking like.
Well, Audi has a new car, so of course this new car is supposed to be better, but a new car is a new car, and there are some things that you don't master so well, probably.
Talk to us about the future. Obviously, you've got an enormously successful, high-profile program. Win or lose, will there be a Peugeot Le Mans car project next year? And would you continue with the 908 or an evolution or maybe a new car?
Well, the decision is not taken. We will take it in the next weeks and months. But I hope we will go on, because I like personally those races. I think there is also Sebring, maybe Shanghai, there are a possibility to have such a type of race. in the rest of the world. But we have to, in the present situation, you know, it is globally difficult. We will decide if we go on. I suppose that in 2010 we will keep 908 because the rules will not change too much. But this is to be confirmed. But anyway, for us, you know, in the 80s with the 205, 207, 16. We won the championship in the rallies, and it was also a very difficult period for us, and it helped us to improve the image of the company. So I think it's a good choice. The only point, I cannot give you a fixed answer today.
I think there are no fixed answers here this weekend. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, 1500. If you're on the podium, as you say, I'm sure everybody will be a lot less tired. We wish you the very best of luck, and we're looking forward to a fantastic race.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Christian
much.
Peugeot, thank you very much for joining us.
That's nice of you.
Thank you very much. So Christian Peugeot from the Peugeot Total Sport team, thank you very much indeed. We're going to bring our broadcast to an end briefly here on Eurosport 2 in just about another dozen minutes before we go over onto Eurosport now until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So Toby, fantastically exciting action so far, and no matter how hot, sweaty, tired or perhaps drunk some of the fans are, I don't think it's one that you can put down, really. It's a real page turner.
I thought you were going to say hot, sweaty and tired the commentators are, but of course that wouldn't involve alcohol quite yet. Just a review from the top of the timing sheets. The number 9 Peugeot, Marc Genet, David Brabham, Alex Wurz leads this race by 1 minute and 52 seconds. In second position is Tom Christensen, and a moment ago Christensen was managing to now do lap times quicker than the leading Peugeot on the last but one time around. So Christensen really is the only Audi in contention at the moment. In third position is Bourdais' Peugeot, the number 8 Peugeot that was leading. That's a lap down. Bourdais with Montagny and Sarrazin, that of course being the pole position car. The 008 Aston Martin, Jeremy pointed out a moment ago, has lost 16 minutes, so far as I got that correct, Jeremy. 16 minutes in the pits. So that was the car with Anthony Davidson that was battling for 4th about half an hour ago. It's unfortunately dropped to 13th position. Big shame, but interesting to hear a couple of things that some people were saying about lack of understeer. You remember about when was it? Let's have a guess. About 2 or 3 hours ago, the Audis were changing nose after nose after nose after nose. Capello said during a press conference on Friday after the 2 days of qualifying, he said it was the, quote, worst R15 he's ever driven. It just wouldn't stick. They've got it all sorted, but then of course the number 2 Audi has gone into the tyre wall at the Porsche curves. There's only one Audi to battle against these Peugeots, and ironically one of them could well be in the mix a bit further up, being last year's car, the Pescarolo car.
Well, and also let's not forget last year's Audis, the two college cars, 6th and 7th at the moment, and those of course more diesel R10 TDIs. The R15 TDI car number 2 is just being brought into the back of the paddock. We can see it from upstairs on a flatbed truck. That is long since gone, but the number 3 car is still rocking around. However, Peugeot with a bit of a stranglehold at the moment, 1st, 3rd and 4th, and Jeremy Shaw, their problems early on were not quite as dramatic as the problem for the number 2 or the number 3 Audi. So yes, really, although the 3 car is just about being persuaded to leave the garage, it is David versus Goliath, if you like, but Audi is the previous Goliath. So it is still the defending champion that's clinging on in there, as you can see some of the mechanics are starting to feel a bit of a pace.
Absolutely the case, and you know, the race leader, car number 9, running. The lap times are pretty up and down somewhat. Last time around was a 3 minutes 27.2 just turned by Marc Genet. I think that's the fastest lap he's done in that car. It's just over a second away from the fastest time the car has done at all in this motor race. Tom Christensen chasing along in second place. The gap has gone out a little bit. It was let's have a look how that gap has progressed. In about an hour ago, it was 1 minute 27 seconds between 1 minute and 27 seconds between those cars. Now around about 2 minutes.
Well, let's get down to the pit lane, see if we can catch up with Lukas Luhr from the number 2 Audi team.
Lukas Luhr, wir haben alle das Auto gesehen, es sah sehr heftig aus, was ist passiert?
Lucas, tell us what happened in the crash. Just turning in towards the Porsche curves, leaving the public road. Something broke at the back. The move in the car was strange, and the car moved, and unfortunately there was nothing I could do. Tried to get it round 3 times to try and wrestle it around the corner, but unfortunately it went straight on into the tyres. It's pretty heavy impact. Unfortunately, car was too badly damaged. That's it. Marshals wouldn't let me try and bring the car back to the pits for safety reasons. I think I could have made it back to the pits. I would like to have made it back, but very disappointed for my teammates. It's racing, that happens sometimes. Sebastian saying, do you know what was up with the understeer? He's saying, I think I lost the car in a bump on the track. But to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes if you make a mistake, you have to put your hand up. And I think in this case, it might be my mistake. Well, Jeremy, that's incredibly honest. Certainly from the onboard footage, we could see him wrestling with the car, but it did look as though it was pitching down from the front right to the rear left. We thought a suspension breakage, possibly a puncture, but possibly Lucas is suggesting it might just have been driver error, and that's unusual for Lucas, but mistakes happen.
Yeah, they do. It certainly didn't look like it from his actions on board the car as he was trying to save it. Didn't look like it, but you know, he's the guy who's driving the car, so we're not going to argue with what he says. That's for certain.
Well, I tell you what, if he'd made a mistake and he knew he was offline, he'd be trying to save it just as hard as if it went offline on him. So we are within a minute of ending our broadcast for the moment here on Eurosport 2. We're going to ask you now to join us over on Eurosport International until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning CET, when we will stay through the night on the Big Dog. Then we'll be mixing Eurosport 2 with main station Eurosport coverage. Don't forget, Eurosport Player can keep you going through the night as well. Live coverage with the commentary. Eurosport broadcasting in HD from Le Mans, although the pictures aren't ours, which is why they're 4:3 and not 16:9 widescreen for those of you that are asking. Join us one step up on the ladder on Eurosport 1 in just a second as we take a brief pause here at Le Mans.